Hello everybody and welcome to our presentation about Student Accessibility Services. My name is Kara Fifield. I'm the Director of Student Accessibility Services. I'm joined with...
Hi everyone, I'm Mary Christine Bird. I'm the Associate Director here in Student Accessibility Services.
So the best way to get a hold of us is either having your student stop by the Sadler Center. We're on the first floor and we're right next to Academic Wellbeing and Care Support Services. Students can also email us at sas@wm.edu, but that is the best way for students to get a hold of us. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce our amazing team. So my name is Kara Fifield. I've been here for 3 years, and I'm just really looking forward to meeting with your student and getting to know them more of what accommodations they have. Our office is really here to make sure that students feel warm and welcome as they come in. And then we have Mary Christine Bird, who is our Associate Director. She does an amazing job of meeting with students and helping them with their accommodation needs. So she's another person that meets with students on campus. And then Arena Scott is our administrative coordinator. And so what she does is she helps in the welcome meeting process of getting all the documentation and scheduling students so that way they're ready for their welcome meeting. So what we do is we work with students with permanent and temporary disabilities, and I'll get more into that on the next slide. But what we do is we're providing accommodations for students with disabilities that can be invisible, or it could be invisible or not. It's also temporary or permanent. So we'll get through that in a minute. But really what we're doing is we want to make sure that we're removing barriers for students and that they get what they need. We also have a fully functioning testing center in our space. We have a picture of it later on in our slides, but what's really nice is we have 27 cubicles in there and 2 quiet rooms as well. The goal really is to reduce distraction and make sure students get what they need. We also offer resources and advocacy. So we really do want our students to be self-advocates, but what we also can do is making sure that we're a buffer person between them and professors. Professors really want to meet with students and make sure that their accommodations are in place, but really our role is to help students in the in-between if there's any kind of issue, or just to help them figure out like how to talk about their disability with others. And we also work with students with a variety of disabilities, and I look forward to talking about that in the next slide. So this is not an exhaustive list, but I just wanted to highlight a few of what we have coming through our office, a list of possible disabilities. So we do work with students with learning disabilities and ADHD. They can also have dysgraphia, dyscalculia, auditory processing. So we work with students with a variety of learning disabilities. Our most growing area is mental health disabilities such as anxiety, depression, PTSD. So we do work with students with any kind of mental health diagnoses. We also work with students who have chronic health conditions. One example of that could be having migraines or having POTS. We want to make sure that there's flexibility when they have flare-ups. We also work with students on the spectrum. We do offer a summer program for students over the summer, specifically for all kinds of students. But at William & Mary, we want to make sure that students on the spectrum get what they need. And then we also work with students with any kind of visual impairment or deaf, hard of hearing. Those are all the permanent disabilities, but we also work with students with temporary disabilities. So that could include a concussion, an injury, or any kind of like medical surgery or treatment. We want to make sure, hopefully none of those things happen to your students, but we want to make sure that they are cared for during those times and then they get those temporary accommodations for that season. So I like to talk about our areas of accommodations in different buckets. And so there's 4 of those: academic, transportation, housing, and dining. One thing I will say about William & Mary is every single accommodation goes through our office, Student Accessibility Services, and then we partner with other offices as well to make sure that they get what they need. For academic, we have 3 different types of support: test-taking support, assistive technology, and flexibility. For test-taking support, we offer either 50 or 100% more time, and we do have that testing center, which has a quiet space for students. We want to make sure to reduce distractions for them. For transportation, we do offer parking passes for students with disabilities, and we have our LMSS system. LMSS is the Limited Mobility Shuttle Service, and we're really excited to offer that for students with any kind of mobility impairments, so they have a shuttle and a way to get around campus. We partner with housing for any kind of housing accommodation, so that way if students need a location request, single rooms, things like that, we want to make sure that they get what they need in their living situation. One thing that's new to our area is working with dining. So if any student has a food allergy or they have a need for a meal plan exemption or reduced meal plans, those go through our office, and then we partner with dining services on that.
Okay, so now we're going to just jump into some information on how your student can request accommodations through our office. I'm not going to entirely go through every step on this slide, but their first step to begin working with their office is to log into what is called an accommodate portal, and all students have access to an accommodate portal. So the student would simply log in and follow a series of questions or answer a series of questions related to what accommodations they're looking to request and some information about their disability. In terms of the request, students also will need to submit documentation. So they could submit psychoeducational evaluations, they can neurological evaluations. For students who don't have any type of evaluation, we can also take forms that correspond with the specific accommodation that a student is looking for. So for example, academic accommodations, a student would have their provider complete the academic addendum, or if it's a housing accommodation, it would be the housing addendum. And on our slide, you will see the different examples of addendums. If your student has any questions about which addendum we would need, we would be happy to speak with them and go over what form we would need. Once a student does submit a request, they will then be prompted to schedule what we call a welcome meeting with a member of our staff to discuss their accommodation that or accommodations that they are requesting. So what does a welcome meeting look like? So a welcome meeting, we of course want the experience for your student to be a positive one. We want to welcome them. We want to make them feel comfortable talking to us. And it's just essentially an interactive conversation to discuss the background of their disability, what their needs are, what accommodations they've had in the past, what's worked, what hasn't worked, and just kind of help make a this will help us make a determination on the accommodations that we're going to approve for your student. So all decisions are made also on a case-by-case basis. So not one student with the same disability is going to necessarily, receive the same accommodation. That might be the case, but we do look at everything on a case-by-case basis, as some students have more than, one disability that they're coming in with. So again, we really enjoy, welcoming our students during these meetings and getting to know them a little bit better, and not just like talking about like disability related things, but just kind of getting to know them more and determining like what their major is going to be and other needs that they might need while they're here on campus. So how can you as parents support your students? So our office really does strive to foster like student independence and encourage self-determination. So by doing that, we really encourage you to kind of let your student take the lead in this process. It is student-led, so we will just be talking to your student. And, by doing that, it's helping them build those self-advocacy skills, because for most students, throughout high school, you might be the one who had been advocating for the student, and we kind of want to prepare for the student, for what things might look like in college, to be able to, speak to their professors and have, difficult conversations sometimes, but we also want to help prepare them for the future. So our big takeaway is just really for you to empower your students to take the lead in communicating with our office. So as Kara discussed earlier on in the presentation about our testing center, this next slide just shows a picture of our testing center. While you're here during orientation, if you want to stop by and take a look at it in person, you're welcome to do that.